Yeah, so tonight we will be looking at Module 4 and Module 5. This is more of a reflection. Why do entrepreneurs initiate the businesses that we are running? What is the motivation behind initiating a startup? That's what we're going to look at. And we look at some statistics, some data out there, and then try and see, do they speak to us? Do the reasons given out there relate with why we are running the enterprises that we are running as entrepreneurs? So allow me just to say a prayer of thanks to God that we have an opportunity to come together. Then we'll do a very brief recap and proceed to our tonight's discussion. God, we are grateful that you have accorded us another opportunity as we engage. We pray that you give us deeper insights. We pray for all the leaders, entrepreneurs, those who are already on board and those who will be joining. May this be a moment of reflection and also a moment of getting new ideas on how to nurture and grow our businesses, scale our businesses, and more so continue to serve you through the capabilities that you have given us and the opportunities you have given us. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good. So we had a very engaging discussion last week, and I just want to point out one or two things that we discussed. And then we link up tonight's discussion with where we stopped last time. It is my hope that we are also getting time to reflect and to relate with what we are learning practically with what we are engaging in as entrepreneurs. If we can be able to pick a few areas from every discussion, either areas we can improve or initiate, or maybe the gaps that we cannot in our businesses, and be able to bridge those gaps through the knowledge that we are sharing. I think that will be really important, and it will translate to more impact as we spend our time together. So we looked at types of startups last week. We also looked at startup development phases, and I'll just highlight one or two things that we discussed. Then tonight we'll be looking at Module 3. I think I went ahead of myself. On the chat, I talked about the golden circle. This is what we shall cover next week, including the business model canvas, the value proposition, and value chain management. That will be the discussion for next week. So today we look at reasons for starting a startup, and we'll walk through a number of reasons, a number of data, and ask ourselves some questions in terms of what is our drive, what is our motivation. And when the motivation and drive are clear, then that we are able to transmit that to the team that we are working with, so that we are all attached to the bigger picture of why we are running our enterprises. And this will be very clear next week when we'll be looking at the golden circle. So we look at that, and then we look at why startups fail. Yeah, I know we had a brief discussion on this at the very initial stages, but we'll revisit that today. And then we look at global startups failure rate, some of the statistics. And this is important so that we can learn from the data, and also probably try and see if there are any areas that we need to improve or rework or reroute ourselves, so that we are not affected with the trends that we're going to look at tonight. Yeah. So remember, in the startup These are the startups development phases that we looked up at last week. Broadly, we went deeper. We broke this into very detailed elements, but generally, we looked at formation and formation. This one, we look at the big picture. Sometimes it may not always start like this. I know there are times we start with what the products that we are offering, where we then later on we're able to formalize the business. We are able now to come up with the vision, the strategy, the mission. But ideally, this should be the right approach, where we start with the bigger picture in mind. We ask ourselves the question of our mission as an organization, and sometimes the mission. We talk about our purpose and the vision as well as the strategy. Yeah. So and these are very important for the founder, because the founder is the one who understands the backbone of the business, and that's why the founder has to keep on conveying the message to the team members, because the team members are joining us. They may not be having the bigger picture in mind. For us, we are very clear. We may not be very clear at the beginning, but we have a picture of what we want. There are times it becomes clearer as we continue. It also sometimes grows as we continue, but at least the founder has a better view of what we want to achieve as an enterprise. And this is beyond maybe the income. As we get the income, as we raise the income, we get the revenue, there has to be something bigger that we are attached to. For GLN, we look majorly on the impact. Yeah, that's our true measure of our success. Those testimonials that we get, that's really what gives us satisfaction. When we get a leader who sends to us a testimonial that I went through this masterclass and I've been able to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 happened, I've been transformed, then that's really what gives us that intrinsic satisfaction. So every business has that thinking that if I've served my customers and I get what is the ultimate goal of running that business. Yeah, I remember when we were in Turkey and Mr. Marvin spent quite some time taking us around, and I think all of us, when we were winding up, we all had our stories on how he impacted us. We all had our stories in terms of how he committed himself to be able to take care of us, and he didn't need to ask us for anything. Yeah, he didn't need to ask us for anything. You know, there are times you may not even be charged, but you feel you have an obligation to appreciate. Yeah, so and that's one of the best marketing strategy. So at the formation stage, we look at the big picture. I want you to be reflecting on your own case. I think we'll get some time before I start the session just to be able to paint your bigger picture as an entity. You will allow me to run ahead of ourselves next week just to be able to connect with this discussion. Then from formation, at least we have been able to clarify the vision, the bigger picture, what we see as succeeding in, and then we have our mission and our purpose and our strategy. Yeah, the why, the what, and to whom, and to how. Yeah. So then we look at the validation. This is where now we validate the idea, we start implementing, and then we grow the business and we continue to scale up the business, and a number of other things happen at that particular stage. Yeah. We looked at the 7 stages of growth. This is by James Fisher. Yeah. Stages that he came up with to help entrepreneurs understand and manage the hidden dynamics of growth based on company size, yeah, and how to navigate the growth curve. So the first stage was the startup or the groundbreaker. I will not get into the details. I know we discussed this. This is where we said there's some organized chaos at this particular stage. The entrepreneur seems to be doing A to Z. There's so much that the founder is handling. And then the trailblazer follows. At least now the entrepreneur maybe is able to get some one, two, three people to assist. Yeah, then we have the pathfinder, and then we have the treadmill operator, then the peak performer. At least here, there are systems, there are processes. The founder is now getting back and allowing other people to move ahead. And the founder moves from the doer to the leader. Yeah, from the doer to the leader. Yeah, where now you're able to oversee the doers, able to oversee people who are now running the show. Then the legacy builder, and finally we have the dynasty builder. So we'll be very keen to keep on revisiting on this startup, the 7 stages of growth, so that we are able to ask ourselves, how are we doing, and what is because the ultimate goal is the legacy builder or the dynasty builder. This is where we are now talking about impact. This is where we are talking about generational business. Okay, so this is what we covered last week, and I'll just want to pause there. Just want to pause there. I don't know if there is someone who may want to add a comment on this before we start tonight's discussion. Maybe you have reflected on your why and you may want us to mention that. What is the why, the bigger picture of your business? As I was sharing mine, I'm sure all of us were also looking at our businesses, and maybe some questions were running through our minds in terms of what is what is my bigger picture as an entrepreneur. So maybe I can allow us just to mention something from what I've shared, a recap or just a general comment. Then from there, we link this up and continue. I don't know, Marvin, if you have something you can mention from what I've just shared.
Um, by that, actually, that's a very informative thing you guys went through. For me, I'd say, with all that, what you've just mentioned is true for startups, and I find myself also following those steps because I have um, several projects that are running,
Mm,
and also I've had the opportunity to be with also people who are in fall into that category because of my regional positioning.
mm,
So I'd say, just by experience and what I've been going through, whatever you've just mentioned there, that's the actual growth curve that I even now use to oversee the businesses that I'm mentoring from this side, and also implementing them on whatever project I'm handling for
mm,
myself and my company. Yes,
mm.
yes.
Okay, thank you so much. What is the ultimate goal of your business? If I could ask that, I know it's part of what we are reflecting on.
Yes. So my ultimate goal is to create to grow businesses from becoming a regional hub business to
Mhm,
go global. So we bridge that gap of businesses that are more regional or centralized within a certain area, and we take them to a global market. So
mm,
by that, that's when now we find my company now doing its own businesses, and also partnering with other businesses and providing opportunities to them from other regions, let's say abroad, Turkey, and the whole of Europe, and even expanding to China.
mm,
Yes. So the main focus we are now focusing on is the growth of businesses from moving from regional to global markets. So
Mm.
that's the major gap we are trying to fill.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. As you were sharing, I thought about this organization growth path. Yeah, from searching where maybe the idea, trying to clarify the idea, then we build the initial stages. And this we can also mirror this with the stages that we looked up at earlier. Then we have scaling, we expand, we sustain. And last time we had quite some discussion about what happens after sustain stage. Yeah, and we saw either you can create another curve, and this is now where you require a lot of strategic thinking as a leader or as an entrepreneur, so that we don't stagnate and we don't go down, but we have to create another curve. For GLN, I keep on thinking about sometimes new products, be able to bring new products, because maybe we have been running with one product for some time and we're trying to see now what do we need to do next. Even as this product continues, we need to do something else so that we create another curve. So, like this was a new product that has created another curve. Initially, we had one product that has been running for a while, and we had quite a high uptake of that product. Yeah, because sometimes I also have to ask myself, so that we don't saturate maybe the network or saturate the segment without having something new into the target segment. So I kept on asking myself, yes, we are leveraging on the referrals. So, and the referrals could either continue becoming more and more, but we see every cohort, there is a trend. There is a cohort that will refer us to many leaders, other cohorts will refer us to a few leaders, but we have to think of a more standardized way of marketing ourselves or running the business. So that curve is very important for each of us, so that we keep on monitoring where are we in our business. Do I need to now create another curve? Maybe I've been at the sustaining stage for quite a while. So what else do I need to do so that I can create another curve? I don't go down. We've seen companies that went down. They had a decline. They started declining, and some they exited the market. Yeah. So I will have more deeper discussions around this. Maybe I can see Crispus. I don't know, Crispus. Maybe you could say hi so that we can also know who it is or who you are. Or if it's one of us using a gadget written Crispus. Yeah, if you're in a position, you can just say a word of greetings, Crispus. Or you can send a message. A message is also quite okay. Okay, Virginia, how are you? And I don't know if you can share a comment on this conversation that you found as going on with.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Dr. Joseph. I hope you're well. I don't really have much to say. I'm loving the discussion. I'm also reflecting and asking myself some questions, especially on the intrinsic motivations leading to starting a business. I have a lot of experiences of even people that we opened the businesses together, similar businesses actually. Some of them are too far ahead, others closed down, others are still trying to navigate. I mean, it's very good to keep asking yourself about What is that motivation that led you to actually do what you're doing? And one thing I can say is that regardless of your reasons, it's still worth giving it a try. And it's still worth being resilient. It's still worth waking up every day and telling yourself, I can do this. So as I'm listening to people's experiences and even to the examples you gave about businesses that came up but couldn't keep running for reasons, one reason or the other, I'm thinking in my head about so many factors. And I think sometimes, and maybe you will help us as you facilitate and as we go on how we can navigate through crises and tough times brought by the economy. Because sometimes it's not like you're not doing the right thing. Sometimes actually you are doing the right thing. You are, I've seen businesses that are really abiding by the books, by the policies that they have. And I have realized that sometimes it doesn't mean that something is wrong for you to actually not make profits and to give up and to close down. Yeah, like COVID was there. COVID taught us a lot of things, you know. Like in Kenya now, the country is going through a tough economic period. Globally, things are not very well. So, what are those? What are those factors that, or rather, how can we still continue being positive even when everyone is closing down or everyone is being negative and there are so many voices silencing and discouraging, including your own books of accounts, you know? Yeah, so I appreciate, I'm intrinsically motivated to be in this training and I'm learning a lot. And I also hope that by end of this session, I will have some questions answered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. And I like I like the question that you have raised, and that reminds me of the last speech by Nokia CEO. Yeah, just picking a sentence from what the Nokia CEO said. He said that we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. Yeah, we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. These are sentiments of the downfall of Nokia in, and they lost the competitors, but they were doing all they could. Yeah, they were doing all they could. This is a very interesting case study, and I know we had a discussion around this at the very beginning, and we picked a number of cues from this discussion, because as we are saying, sometimes you can do all you can, but there are also other dynamics within the ecosystem. There are global issues. There are also the micro issues within the environment where we are operating. And that now projects the strategic aspect of an entrepreneur. We are just trying to also be very keen in terms of understanding the environment, both the immediate environment within my business, but also the bigger space out there. Yeah, so that we can be able to try and keep at par where we can, or adapt or adjust where we can. And this is pointing us to one of the discussions that we normally have when we are going through strategic leadership, which is a different program. We normally look at the success story of the centennials, those organizations that have been in existence for over 100 years, and they are still successful. Yeah. So we normally look at 10 principles of those organizations. And one of them is they study society. They study society. They invest in money to study the society around them, just to try and understand the needs of the society. Sometimes they could even come up with a product that the society will need in some years to come. But because they have been able to invest in research and development, they're able to pick this will be the new needs that will be coming up. So sometimes, even before the society is aware of their needs, they have already been able to project. And one of the companies, Coca-Cola, that is rated among the centennials. So we'll continue with this conversation, and I'm sure as we engage, some of the questions will be answered. New questions will emerge in our conversations because this is a masterclass. This is where we reflect deeply. Yes, I am in a session, but we are allowed to have our minds running around, trying to think as much as possible and try to connect the dots, and also probably come up with some new initiatives to be able to scale up our businesses. So let's have this discussion, and I will be reflecting at the same time to our own intrinsic motivation, why entrepreneurs start businesses, what is the motivation. Yeah. And according to Georgi Todorov, this is the founder of Thrive My Way, thrivemyway.com, an online resource. He says that thousands of ambitious entrepreneurs start a new business every year with a lot of hope and a lot of excitement, because maybe we are very clear at the very beginning what we want, but in between that idea and the reality, there are quite a lot of issues that emerge. Yeah, in writing, there is something we call the marathon in the middle. You have the opening chapter, you have how the book should end, but we need some materials in between here, and sometimes that also happens to entrepreneurs. So some of the reasons, and including equivalent percentages of why entrepreneurs initiate a startup, is what we're going to look at tonight. So why? These are some of the reasons why starting startups. Just some of the statistics. About 26% of those because this was an interview that was a survey that was done. 26% of people who start a small business, they said they did it because they were ready to be their own boss. And I think this is something that I've also experienced in the discussions that I've had with a number of entrepreneurs. You will hear some who have been either employed or they were running a business, but maybe they were employed in that business or in that organization, but someone feels now this is my time to become my own boss. So 26%, they wanted to become their own boss. 23% wanted to pursue their passion. Pursue their passion. 19% of people starting a business or a small business, they said that the opportunity presented itself and they took it. Yeah. So took an advantage of an opportunity. And then 2% of these startups or the entrepreneurs, they said they were dissatisfied with corporate America. The study focused majorly in America, but it's also it mirrors also what happens to other part of the world. Then 7% of new startup owners were laid off, or outsourced. So the laid off, retrenched, then some of them now they get into business. 6% were not ready to retire. So you after retirement, then you were able to start a new business. or to start a business. 3% started a new small business after a life event. Yeah, maybe a divorce or an incident that now triggered the need to start a business. Okay. I don't know what is your reflection on this, this data. What is it telling us? What is the message that you can get out of this? And which businesses or which category do you feel would sustain a business for probably a longer time and withstand challenges, be more persistent, be more resilient? Yeah, just a very general reflection on the data that we are seeing there. And maybe also which one speaks to you? Yeah. Yeah, maybe I can take just one reflection so that we can put this some meat into this data. What is it? What message are we getting out of this? And more closely at a personal level. Okay. Yes, Marvin.
Yes, from the data we are seeing, I'd say the 23% who wanted to pursue their passion are more likely to sustain the businesses that have created and the startups that have created there because they have the zeal and urge to pursue them. But when I look at the bottom four, I'd say
Mm,
these are the people who fall in the category whereby the life pressure uh, came into picture and now made them to shift. So yes, most of them will have some who will be successful in their startups and it will work out. But I'd say some of them in this category usually don't have the plan. It's more of
mm,
like impulse,
mm,
impulse decision making, whereby this had to happen because of this and that.
mm.
Them bow down to pressure.
Yeah, that's quite that's very true. Yeah, so the element of a plan, and I think we align to the 23. The 23 also now complemented with a concrete plan. Then they have a higher chance of running a successful business and also maybe a more sustainable business. Yeah. So we'll still reflect on this as we continue. So just allow me to move on. We have some core principles that startups normally follow, um, and this starts with the identification of a problem that is worth solving. And we are all here because we are addressing a problem worth solving. And I believe to all of us, we are very clear, or we are getting clearer and clearer of what is this problem that we are addressing. So we begin by sometimes uncovering, looking at the significant problem out there. Then now we're able to think of a solution. Yeah. GLN, our core area is leadership. Yeah, our core area is leadership. And in our Global Leadership Network Masterclass, which is our level 2, we normally look at the leadership gap. The leadership gap is like our value proposition. Yeah, so we look at a number of data that has pointed out that there is a leadership gap, and on which particular area are we having the gaps. Then the training is aligned to address those particular areas. So the problem, then we engage early adopters for validation. I'll add something next week on diffusion curve, how an idea diffuses, or when you come up with a new idea, how do people embrace the idea? Yeah. So I'll add that so that this point becomes much clearer. When you launch a product, in many cases you have the innovators, the 2.5%, who have no, they don't struggle so much to embrace something new or a new product. Yeah, and I think you have seen when some of the companies like Apple, they are launching a new phone, you find there is that category of people who will even queue. Yeah, and they bought the last one and they are going for this one. Yeah, so that is the innovators. Then from the innovators, we have the early adopters. Early adopters are about 13%. Yeah, so we engage the early adopters for validation. And the reason why we are not going for the innovators, we're going for early adopters, because early adopters, they're not just quick to replace what they have, but they're asking themselves some few questions in terms of maybe what is the new value this product or this service is going to add. So we connect with this category to validate the idea and gather honest feedback. And I remember I narrated our story as GLN, where we had cohort 2. Cohort 2 was like our early adopters for the validation. Then we embrace rapid iterative development. And now that we have validated the idea, we move on and start building, testing, refining the product, sometimes coming up with structures, and then we accelerate the learning, and we are able now to build up the idea. Yeah. Then we build, measure, and learn. Yeah. So we develop a functional version of the product. We are able to get feedback and then use the responses to refine or improve the product to be able to scale it up. Then number 5, we pivot based on evidence. Yeah, we can change direction when data or information shows the path is not working for us. And I don't know if Nokia was able to pick on this. Yeah, and if they picked on this, probably, and this is also from the various discussions around Nokia, there is an element of adaptability. There is also an element of they were a bit rigid, yeah, and there is also an element of the team, the team, because you need to align the teams, our team, based on the environment. How is the environment going? If the environment is now being is being driven by technology, then in our team, a person on that particular area becomes very important. So those are some of the issues that are pointed out to Nokia, that there was some mismatch, especially when you do an organizational evaluation based on the McKinsey 7S, yeah, where we look at the 7S structure, style of leadership, the skills, and all that. Then you find there was a mismatch. The company should have put some more weight on someone who is more versed with technological competences, but they missed out on that, among other things that are pointed out. So pivot based on evidence, and then optimize for speed, for learning, and also focus. This is why we prioritize, and we're able now to leverage on the learning for faster growth. Sometimes this is where you will find rapid growth happening, yeah, because we are quite clear. There is a clear focus. We have been able to learn based on evidence. We have been able to pivot, and here we can now we can achieve rapid growth at this particular stage. So those are the the core principles that startups follow. Yeah, so we start with a problem, then we are able to validate, we are able to develop through an iterative development cycle. Then we build, we measure, we learn, we pivot in case we find, and pivot sometimes would come either when we have launched into full scale or before launching the full scale products or services. And then optimize for speed, for learning, as well as focus. So let me take you back to the statistics that we were looking at, just to be able to dig deeper on a few other additional statistics. And I remember I said this was more generally in US, but it also reflects to a certain extent what could happen or what is happening in other parts of the world. So according to this source, around 90% of startups fail, but there is a categorization on how they fail depending with the number of years, and we shall look at that. This was quite general. And then 10% of startups fail within the first year. Yeah, so part of segmentation here. And startup failure rates appear to be very similar regardless of the industry. 70% of startups fail during years 2 to 5. Yeah, so maybe 30% or less are able to celebrate their 10th year, and we'll see that as we continue. So 42% of startups fail because they misread target market demand. Yeah, so launch a product, then you realize the market we are targeting, there is a mismatch. And remember, in the startup development phases, we were also looking at problem fit. Is the product or service fit to the problem or the market that we are targeting? Then 14% of startups fail by disregarding the customer's needs. Yeah, so there's a mismatch there. Then 29% they fail because they run out of funding or personal money. And in 2018, 82% of businesses that failed, they failed because of cash flow. So you can pick a number of reasons here. We can see cash flow, we can see still capital, we can see mismatch of customers' needs, and also the target market. So again, according to the same source, so according to, this is another source, Lending Tree Analysis of US, we again see the following trends: real estate and rental and leasing, e.g., here we have real estate sales agents, we have property managers. In terms of the looking at this based on industry, so industries with the least business failure rates. So one of them is the real estate and rental business. Then we have agriculture following at 12%, forestry, fishing. So generally here the bigger scope is agriculture. Then retail, about 12%. Then we have healthcare and social assistance, which comes at 14.1%. But generally, we see real estate having the in terms of the failure rate, it has the least failure rate. So real estate and rental, they have the best survival rate within the 1 year, but the case changes after 5 years and above. Yeah, but I think we also look at it from our context. I think this could still be this data could still suffice in our context as well. So the field of agriculture then rises to the top over time in terms of the being least in terms of failure rate. So again, here we have some other insights. Top reasons startups fail. Why do startups fail? 38% according to this source. It's an issue of cash flow. 35, it's an issue of market. Yeah, when there's no market need. 20%, they were outcompeted. And then 19% flawed business model, and also the issue of business plans. And then we have issues of legal challenges. We have pricing or cost issues, and not the right team. Now we bring in the aspect of the team. The rate ranges about 14% of the businesses. They attributed their failure to not having the right team. Then product mistimed, a product that was launched, but the timing was not done well, about 10%. Poor product, again 8%. Disharmony among team members or investors, the founder, again 7%. Pivot gone bad, not able to pivot appropriately. And then burnout or lack of passion, 5%. I think this will also be interesting to get your comments on this. Let me just walk through this and then just reflect, then we can share some insights on this. We have another source here. Reasons why again startups fail, just to be able to get diverse statistics. Sometimes we do this so that we see, we validate the reasons. We see, is it consistent? All these survey or studies referring to the same. There could be slight variation, but maybe the top reasons could be almost the same. So again, we see no market need. No market need. Cash flow again comes in here. Not having the right team, again 23%. Got out competed. Pricing, we see the pricing, we see poor product, we see need or lack of business model, we see poor marketing, ignoring customers' needs, product mistimed. So again, we can see some similar characteristics here in terms of why businesses fail. So in general, we are saying top reasons could range from being outcompeted, also the issue of not having the right team. We see the issue of cash flow. We see the issue of market, lack of market of the products. And also we see an element of experiencing cash flow challenges. And the cash flow seems to be among the top reasons in this particular case. Okay, so let's bring this maybe in the Kenyan context, just to be able to look at the global space, bring it to the Kenyan context, and maybe the Kenyan context could speak to also other countries within the same environment. So according to Kenya Institute of Management, this is 2017, 70% of small, medium-sized enterprises in Kenya, they fail within their first 3 years of existence. So 70% within the first 3 years. And primary reasons include poor planning. We have the issue of limited capital, market challenges, and lack of business management skills. Okay. We have a lack of market for the products or services. Now we are comparing those the two sources. So one had 35%, the other one 42%. Cash flow shortage, 29 and 38 and 82. Again, there we see quite a variation there. And then not having the right founding team, 14 and 23%. Outcompeted, 19 and 20, very close. Then we have pricing or cost issues. And pricing could be what is determining the right cost of the product. 15 and 18. Then user unfriendly product, 10 and 17%. Okay. So lack of market research is one of the reasons why startups fail, or what this also is pointing out now to what the action that also we need to undertake. So lack of market research, and market research can shield a startup from failure, because now we'll be a bit keen, and we'll also be making decisions sometimes through evidence-based frameworks. Then partnerships challenges. Yeah, we're saying partnership is key, but sometimes they can also lead to growth, or they can also lead to decline of a business. Can help to complement the knowledge, the experience, if well managed. We see inadequate marketing strategy. So the element of marketing strategy comes in here, handy here, as one of the other reasons. Then we have this is from business in Kenya, an online source. The reasons most businesses fail in Kenya: we see inefficient financial management. We actually reconfirming what has been cited in different other sources. And I believe maybe even through our own deep reflection, we are able to clearly see if we are aligned to this and what are the measures that we need to undertake. So what are some of the factors contributing to high business failure rates? Just to sum up, one is lack of planning and strategy. And that's why we are here as leaders, so that we can relook at our strategies, look at our plans, see the possible areas that we can be able to enhance. Then insufficient capital. I think this has been quite very clear in our discussion. We have poor management, where we are talking about inadequate business management skills, financial management skills, lack of leadership. That's why, again, we are complementing entrepreneurship and leadership because of the structures that requires to be put in place. Ineffective decision making, this is part of leadership. And then poor team dynamics. Are we nurturing our teams? Are we creating an environment where the teamwork is enhanced? And again, that is part of our leadership as well. Inability to adapt, failure to adapt to changing market conditions, evolving customer needs, or technological advancement can also lead to becoming obsolete. And maybe this can also, to an extent, speak to what Virginia had mentioned, the inability to adapt. So here we are saying, how is the market conditions? What are the evolving customer needs? What are the technological advancements? Just to mention just a few of them. So businesses that do not innovate or pivot, we see what happens. Sometimes they are outcompeted, and they are pushed out of the market. We have market and marketing challenges. Again, both external factors such as economic downtime. We have, again, to be very keen about the increasing competition, and that speaks to our marketing strategies. Overexpansion. So how well do we grow our business? Today I was in a forum, and we were looking at one of the companies here in Kenya that offers transport, Easy Coach. And we're trying to ask ourselves, this company has been there with companies like Akampa, for those who are in Kenya, which is no longer there. We had companies that came up. Some grew very fast, like Eldoret Express, a company that had so many buses. But today we were asking ourselves, you go to some places of this country and you see so many of those buses parked in very big fields. So expansion must be managed. So expanding too quickly without solid foundations can lead to cash flow problems. Then that also leads to operational challenges, and eventually the ability to manage new complexity comes in handy. So we are saying growth should be balanced. We should look at growth and sustainability. We grow, then we sustain, then we grow, and then we sustain. Legal and regulatory challenges is also among the factors contributing to high business failure rates. Are we aligned? Have we complied? So if there is any element of non-compliance, that can lead to the business failure. Okay. So how do we deal with this? This is just a flip, so I will not really belabor so much on this. So we need to focus on effective planning and strategy. We need to work on our resource mobilization. We need to work on skills enhancement. We also need to be aware of risk. So we need to be able to identify possible risks and also have risk mitigations, and then embrace adaptation and flexibility. Yeah. So these are some of the measures, and I'll conclude this first part of our discussion by looking at questions to answer in order to build and launch a product that customers need and for which there is market. I'll leave these ones. I'll leave these ones because it's more of a summary, yeah, of what we have already covered. So which problem need are we solving? Who is our target customer? Who are the early adopters of our solutions or product? Yeah, what relative price will you charge that provide acceptable value for customers, as well as profitability margin? And what is the minimum set of features of the product required for the launch? So this one can it can apply at the very beginning, but it can also apply in between as we continue to run, and maybe even as we continue to add new products. Okay. So again, we said identify appropriate business model for clarity of a business idea, identify risk assumptions, just to expound on what we have already covered, and then conduct interviews with the target customers to understand their needs and what they currently do to solve those needs. Define the value proposition based on customer insights. Prepare a prototype, then conduct another round of interviews with the target customers, then iterate the solution and conduct new interviews if they did not commit to buy the product, and then define a minimum viable product and start full development. Okay, so I'll share these questions just to reflect through, including the process of validating a new business idea and market fit, so that we try and work around the business failure rate that we have just looked at. Okay, I know I've said quite a lot. And today we have two parts. So you will allow me to pause here for maybe 3 minutes. Then we can move on to the other part. So maybe I can just allow us to reflect a little bit on this. Just to reflect a little bit on what we have covered. Susan, I don't know if you are now settled. And maybe if you have any comment to share together with Marvin and Virginia and Crispus. What is your reflection on what we have covered so far? I know we'll have more time to reflect, beyond here, but maybe we can just take one or two reflection. Virginia, any comment you can share so far? Okay. I trust we are flowing together. Trust we are flowing together.
Yes, we are going together.
Okay.
Yes, we are flowing together.
Okay. That's good. It's good to note. Yeah. Crispus, are you able to say a word of greetings and where you're joining us from?
Okay. Thank you. Hi everyone. I'm Crispus Shembilu. I have joined you from Nelson Mandela African Institution of Science Technology, Arusha, Tanzania. I'm doing masters in material science. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and you're welcome. I believe you are introduced by Sylvanus.
Yes.
It's a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and feel free to comment anytime you have something to add.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't know, Marvin, if you had a comment or it was a confirmation.
Yeah, it was a confirmation, and also just to emphasize on when we were just going through this, I could see the reasons behind startups failing. And most of the points were just adding up with what I've been experiencing, yeah, with, let's say, some of the clients that you meet or they come, they are in need of assistance of now streamlining whatever they had, or just seeking guidance on how they grow, and they were actually falling in line. It made me now sit back and reflect on the, like, yeah, they just add up, and it's just a confirmation of truly that they add up with the common picture that is actually on the ground.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marvin. Yeah, I think this is very important because we can relate. You know, there are times also you can experience certain, you can go through a certain experience, and then now when you have a formal discussion like this, now we're able to align and be able to tell I was going through this process, and now I know I'm here and I know what is the next phase. Yeah, so we are able to link all what we have learned and the practice. Yeah, so the last part we may not take so long on the last part. This is part of the outputs. I know maybe some of us, we already have our business plan in place, but we'll also be looking at the opportunities to enhance our business plans. For those of us who do not have a business plan, then the output of this masterclass will be a business plan for your particular enterprise, and we'll do this after next week's session, because next week we'll look at the business model canvas. Yeah, one page that analyzes your business all the way from stakeholders, from revenue streams, from communication channel, from value proposition, just in one page. Yeah, and we're able to come up with those 9 elements. It is from those 9 elements that now we are able to come up with our business plan. But we'll give the highlights of the business plan today so that we can reflect if we have one, what are the opportunities to improve. If we don't have one yet, then we can now start that journey of coming up with our business plans. Okay, so initially I defined, or we distinguished between business strategy, business plan, and business model. So I may not go deeper at this particular stage, but will allow you to reflect more on this. Yes, it's good to appreciate the differences between the business strategy, the business plan, as well as the business model. So on the tip of the iceberg, just looking at the high level differences in terms of purpose, business strategy, it outlines the keyword there is the long-term vision and direction of the organization. So that will always be found in the business strategy. The business plan will give us the roadmap. Yeah, so yes, this is what we want to achieve. This is the big vision. This is the ultimate goal. But how do we get there? We need a plan. So the business plan comes handy to give us a roadmap to be able to achieve short-term and medium-term goals that leads now towards the long-term goals. Then we have business model. This one explains the fundamental logic of how the business operates and also how it generates revenue. So the 9 elements that I mentioned. So how do we generate revenue? How do we operate? And what are some of the key considerations that needs to be in place to run a business effectively? So that's the differences based on purpose, but there are also other differences based on focus, based on time frame, also based on components, flexibility, and there are some examples there. So I'll share this so that you can be able to look at it deeply. So maybe for just creating a common understanding, it's always good to align our thinking to a common definition of a concept. So for this discussion, we are saying a business plan is a documented strategy for a business, and it highlights the goals as well as the plans for achieving the goals. Yeah, and a strong business plan is our roadmap. It helps to create structure to be able to run and also to be able to grow our business. Yeah, it's also a detailed document which also outlines the objectives. So we've said there are goals, there are plans, but there are also objectives and how to achieve the objectives. So it can take several weeks to months to create, but again, within this kind of an engagement, it's easier to be able to shorten this, come up with a new one, or even refine what we already have. So what does the business plan contain? It outlines, one, a marketing plan. It also outlines the financial projections. It outlines the market research. It outlines the business purpose and vision and mission statement. So you can see how the business plan is bridging some of the challenges that we highlighted earlier, because we said we have a challenge when it comes to marketing, and these are the details that needs to be in the business plan so that it will address that challenge that we highlighted earlier. Financial projection, again, this will also address the issue of cash flows and business management aspect. Then market research, this is what, again, attributes to high business failure rates. So business purpose, vision, and mission. So we can now see how a business plan is able to respond to a number of challenges that we discussed earlier based on the various sources. So we have three main purposes of a business plan. Yeah, three various purposes of a business plan. One, we are saying to serve as a roadmap for achieving the business goals, because here, remember, we are talking about the various plans that requires to be there, including vision and mission, to attract funding and investment from investors or financial institutions, because it speaks of how we have been able to conceptualize the idea and also document the idea. Then it provides a framework for managing and monitoring the business performance over time. Yeah. So why business plans are crucial? Just some highlights here. Yeah. 260% are more likely to launch a business if they have a business plan. So this one actually projects in terms of the why a business plan is very important. So there are 7 elements of a business plan. Now we are looking at the structure of the business plan. So we have the executive summary. We'll just give a very high summary of each of these. We have company description, the products and services that we are offering. How is the market? How does the market look like? We have the market analysis, the strategy and implementation, and then organization and management team, and then financial plan and projection. So if all these elements are covered, or all these elements should be covered in a business plan. So the executive summary should give us the business name and location, what product or services are we offering, what is the vision and mission statement, and then the purpose and the strategy of the plan. Then company description, basically here we have the type of the business. Is it corporate? Is it sole proprietorship? And then a brief history, the nature of the business, and the needs or demands to be addressed. We also have an overview of product or services, including customers. And within that chain, we also look at the suppliers. Then a summary of company growth. Here we look at financial and marketing and market details. And then a summary of short-term and long-term business goals. What are the short-term? What are the long-term goals, including the investment plan? Then we have product and services. Yeah, so basically we give a description of the product and services, the roles of the product and services. We look at information about the life cycle of the products we are offering, where there are copyrights. Then we take into consideration and then research and development activities that may also help to grow the business. So all these are under products and services. Then market analysis. Yeah, so we look at findings of any studies. We have a sketch of targeted customer segment. What size are we looking at? What demographics groups are we looking at? Then we analyze the industry. Yeah, industry description, including statistics. We also look at historical events, current events. Then that helps us to be able to project. Yeah, and then a detailed evaluation of competitors. This is very important because that also helps us to be able to sustain our competitive advantage. Yeah, so market analysis, very important, again, to sustain the business, to grow the business, and also to ensure that we retain a higher level of competitive advantage. Then strategy and implementation. So what are the sales and marketing strategies? So this we consider how to promote the products or the services. We also look at the cost, the pricing. Remember, pricing was one of the issues that contributes to business failure, including promotion, how the company will function, including the operations, and then information on source of labor, data on operating hours and facilities. Yeah, just the finer details, but basically here is what is our strategy and how do we implement the strategy. More specifically, maybe sales and marketing strategies. Okay. Then we have the organization and management. Yeah, so do we have an organization chart, information about owners, we have profiles of management team and list of any advisors. So all this requires to be in the business plan under organization and management section. Then financial plan and projections. So we look at historical financial data. Then we are also able to prospect and project the financial status. So a brief analysis of financial data under financial plan and projections. Okay. So let's sum this. We'll sum this by looking at just a short clip. Then we'll conclude this discussion. We'll conclude this discussion by looking at this short clip, and then we allow ourselves some time just to be able to reflect on what we have covered. So this is just a 2 minutes clip that somehow summarizes all that we have covered tonight. Yeah, what we have covered in the second part of our discussion. So let's just look at this together. Okay, I'll share this link. Maybe it's something that you have seen that you may want to just have a view at it again. So that brings us to the end of this session. Quite a lot that we have shared and reflected on. So we'll share the link so that you can maybe go through it again, reflect again, and try to see what areas that we can run with to improve our enterprises. So we'll stop there unless we have a comment, a question. And I'll start with Marvin. Just in case you have anything comment to mention or to share?
Yeah, mine is just to say this session was so informative and it got me back into reflecting and thinking back to now the initial steps of the startups and everything, because in where I am right now, I find myself hubbed with many people who are willing to start their own startups and everything. And it actually now just brought me into light and have the right structures into place so that I can even help guide the people I'm having into the right direction, and also help me evaluate what I have at stake and what my clients also have. So it's a good session that it's making me reflect a lot and just helping me strengthen whatever I'm running on this side. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Marvin. And I like that because it's also bringing an aspect. I could be having, maybe I have the structure for my business, but maybe I'm supporting other enterprises. So there's what we can apply to our case, and there's what we can also use to help others to streamline their businesses. Yeah, thank you so much. Susan, do you have any comment as we wind up?
Thank you very much. I was commuting. I was in transit for most of the session, but I got quite a bit. What I can say is that especially for the reasons for entrepreneurship, for starting a business, I think several factors can come into play as well, not just one. Like for my case, I have passion for what I do. I've always had passion for what I do. And I had been dreaming for quite a while of being my own boss. That was also another factor. But the major thing is that the opportunity did present itself finally. A circumstance came that now it was either I jump or I stay. So I chose to leave employment and started the business, and it's okay so far. And also I think I have four of those reasons in my situation, because I also like helping people, and the fact that there were quite a number of SMEs who would not afford the services at the place where I was, and now I was able to offer them packages that suit their economic position at the moment for the SMEs, the small businesses and the micro businesses. So I do have a drive for what I do. I have a passion for it. I dreamt of being my own boss, and I finally got the opportunity. So yeah, it was a good session. Thank you very much. I learned quite a bit. Asante.
Yeah, thank you. So Susan, if we combine you as it's 50 plus, yeah, it is 50% plus, because we have passion, 23%, boss, your own boss, about 26%, the opportunity. I like that combination. I think that gives it more weight in running your business. Yeah, thank you so much, Susan, for sharing. Okay. Yeah, you're much welcome. Crispus, any comment you can share with us? Okay, how about Virginia?
Thank you. I think I'm also like Susan. It's not just one thing or one motivation. It's quite a number of motivations. And my take home today is that the business plan is not just a document. It's a roadmap and something to guide me on a daily basis on what I'm doing. And hopefully, as the vision bearers, I hope that we can be able to to transmit these motivations to those that we work with, because sometimes it's not easy to understand workers and staff, and by the end of the day you cannot do any business alone. You need people to work with you, and your motivations and all that would be still futile if you don't have a good team. So for me, I think I'm learning a lot, and I'm also thinking of how the business plan also, and that guiding document is not just for me, it's also for those that I work with, for those in leadership, so that they can understand the vision, the mission, and they can live every day knowing that they're on a mission. And I also like that you gave the example. I'm forgetting. I think you gave the example of iPhone and how people would just run to the newest model, even if they just bought the recent one. And for them, it's not even that it has additional features. It's just because something is new. So we also know that we also have the kind of people or consumers who run to something because something is new. And I think you call them the innovators or something like that. So we also need then to keep being innovative in our business models, because when we're innovative, we are able to ensure that we don't lose the old consumers or our old customers, but we are able to continue giving them services because we are up to date. We are up to date with technology. We are up to date with systems that they feel suit their needs at any given day. So yeah, thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much, Virginia. And I like this issue of how do we sustain innovators? How do we keep them still using our products or services? Because now these are the guys who can move very fast. If we are not moving fast, or we are not moving, we are not innovating. So I think these are the easiest target that can shift to any other player that is innovating. So I like that. I think that's a very important point to reflect on. I will start next session by just discussing a little bit about the diffusion curve. That's what I mentioned about the how a new product is diffused, how it's taken up, who takes up what percentage, and then I'll also explain about a concept known as crossing the chasm. Yeah, so I'll start with that. It's not part of our content, but I will add it, and then I will allow us just to reflect on that together. The other thing that I pick from you is the issue of team. This is a very important conversation, and we'll be talking about this later on. We'll talk about team development phases, and maybe that will allow us to be able to pick a few cues in terms of how to work together with our teams, because these are very critical part of our business. Yeah, and we have seen even from the statistics, it is also part of what contributes to business failure. So it's an area that requires our attention. And then the final thing that I've picked from, that's why we like when we share, because when we share, we're also able to pick a few things about the business plan. It's a living document. It is serving us, and we need to keep interacting with it, but also of importance is that the business plan helps us to see details that we may not see without a document, without a documented practices of our businesses. So when we are documenting, it helps us to see some of the things that may not be seen without a business plan, and also aligns our energy, and also it makes it very clear in terms of our roadmap. Okay, so I think that was quite good. I'm really enjoying the discussions. Your input is helping us to reflect deeper and also look at things from a different perspective. So thank you so much, Virginia, for the insights. Okay, and I think we can pause there for tonight. Let's revisit and continue with the conversation next week by God's grace. Next week we'll have the first activity that we shall undertake by looking at the business canvas. So we'll have time to be able to come back and be able to share how our week has been and what we've been able to work on in terms of enhancing our structures and just bettering our businesses. So let's say a prayer of thanksgiving, and then we can pause there. God, thank you for the insights. Thank you for the conversation that we have had this night. You have entrusted us with ideas. You have entrusted us with businesses that we are running that are helping to address certain issues in our society. And we continue to pray that you continue to help us, give us your favor, give us your deeper insights. Help us, Lord, to continue being fresh, continue just trying to see the areas that we can enhance. We pray for freshness of ideas, freshness of strategies, and also we pray for cohesion as we work with the teams that you have entrusted us. There is a night before us, even as we take time to rest. We pray that you give us a blessed moment in your presence. And this is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you so much, entrepreneurs. I wish you all a blessed night. Those in Tanzania, those in Rwanda, and those in Turkey, and those in Kenya. Thank you, and God bless you all.
You're
Amen.
welcome. Good night. God
Welcome.
bless you.
Bye-bye. God bless
Good
you.
night to
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night.